So, hello, namaste, namaskar, good afternoon, good morning, or even good evening in whichever part of the world you are joining us from. My name is Deepak R. Khebani, and I am one of the co-founders of Bloom. Along with our CEO and founder of Bloom, Payal Irani, it gives me great pleasure in welcoming you to the 216th, 216 non-stop Sunday Bloom Talk Show. Ever since we started during the pandemic, every Sunday, India time, 12:30, we have been online or offline in a program talking to people who are change makers, trainers, coaches, healers, athletes, doctors, speakers, you name them, and they have been with us every Sunday for the past 216 weeks. I see Ratanji is here. Welcome back, Ratan sir. Haven't seen you for quite some time. Thank you. Thank you. So let's continue that tradition of inviting one person who will share with us his knowledge, his expertise, how he or she are doing their bit to make the world a better place by helping people, by helping their fellow co-workers, employees, organizations change to become better. I hereby invite Santosh Akella. Santosh Akella will be speaking to us about creating a culture of learning in organizations. Santosh, welcome to the show. Let me not introduce you and ask you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what do you do, why do you do this, when did you start, and what do you plan to achieve? Over to you.
Sure, Deepak. Thanks a lot for such energetic opening, and it's indeed a great feat that non-stop for the past few years that you have been doing this. Congratulations to you, first of all, on that. Now, what I have been doing for the past few years is, as the topic itself goes, creating a culture of learning in organizations in whatever capacity it is. I am a learning and development professional. I do also speak at multiple events. I spoke at around 150 events till now in India. And I also help individuals, leaders, and managers become better coaches and adopt a coaching leadership style. This is what I do primarily.
How did you start? Why did you want to do what you are doing now? Or was it such that you did something else and then something happened, life changed, and you decided, let me do this? Tell us your story.
I always wanted to be someone who can make a change in this place directly. Now, I am not saying everybody does that change, like that story of a janitor in NASA goes. Every day, everybody does create that change. But I wanted to create that change directly. And I felt that training is something that where I can do that directly.
So, how do you help people? What do you do? Tell us exactly what do you do and how do you help people and organizations?
Sure. I do design trainings. I do design learning experiences. E-learning, I am mostly into the e-learning space. I work with a consulting firm right now, and I do deliver trainings, take trainings, manage end-to-end trainings, and all these things.
What is the importance of learning? L&D, especially in organizations. Why is it important?
Sure. Now, learning, if you ask me, learning is as important as breathing. We are breathing now, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously.
Yeah.
And for this, I'd like to quote a quote by Charles Darwin, which says that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change.
Yes.
is what survives.
Yeah.
So I feel in this knowledge economy, where we are saying that every day we are changing, every day new thing comes up. If we are able to speak today, me sitting in Hyderabad, you sitting in Mumbai, and I don't know how many people are watching us, all this is possible because of the technological transformation, people transformation, human transformation
Yeah.
that is happening.
Yes.
So when these many things are changing, when an organization sets a goal that, okay, we want to do this,
Yeah.
if they have to go there, they need to learn. And I often compare this with running a marathon.
Hmm.
If I say that, okay, I want to run a 5 kilometer marathon, 10 kilometer marathon, there should be a time frame to be decided by the end
Hmm.
of 2025.
Yeah.
Today, I should start preparing.
Yes.
Today, I should start learning.
Yeah.
Maybe after 6 months, where I should be. After 6 months, I should be able to run 3 kilometers. After 1 year, I should be able to run 5 kilometers. After 1.5 years, I should be able to run uh, 7, 8 kilometers. And again, by the end of 2025, when I run
Yes.
a marathon, I should be able
Yeah.
to run a 10-kilometer marathon. This
Yes.
requires various attitudinal skill and knowledge, learnings and changes. And
Yes.
that's where learning comes and becomes the most important thing in an organization today.
So, what is culture of learning? Is it inbuilt in their organization? Is it something that, has been continuing in that organization? It is a tradition, or it's the leadership at the top which decides this is what I want to give to my employers, to my fellow people, so that we all, as you said, become adaptable so we can survive. Tell us a little bit about the culture of learning and development.
Now, coming to this culture of learning in organizations, there is this Japanese concept called as Kaizen. It means a continuous improvement, right? I'd like to share a story for this. Long ago, I've been working in the data analytics space, and we genuinely had a problem. We were designing, we had a lot of data basically in a database, and we had a problem because we wanted reporting out of that data. That means we wanted Excel sheets or a visual representation of data and everything. Now, that was a genuine problem that we have faced. And it was me who went to my leadership and said that this is not happening with the existing tools. We need a new data analytics tool.
Hmm.
And it was also the leadership that told me, go and explore it. And that's what is that learning culture. What is it? What did I do? I took that proactive initiative as an employee.
Hmm.
My leader supported that. He also pushed me further to take some initiative and do it. So, culture of learning is nothing but embedding learning into the fabric of the organization. That learning should be included as a part of the organization. Because as we were discussing, everything goes by in this session, the quote that I've started with, the quote by Charles Darwin. It is only the species that will change, will succeed. So, culture of learning is nothing but embedding these learning experiences and creating an ecosystem where people are able to learn. And of course, it should also come from the employees themselves as well. It's about creating that psychological safety and telling that, ask what you want. We'll give you that learning experience.
Hmm.
Tell us what is required. We are going to support you. We'll also suggest, but it should come from the employee.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. In recent times, are there any shifts that you are observing as far as learning culture is happening or changing? And what should leaders do about it?
Sure. In the recent times, one thing that I can speak about is right now, three completely different generations are working together in any organization.
Hmm.
They are the baby boomers, the millennials, the Gen Z. Now, baby boomers seek flexibility, they seek meaningful experiences, they seek ongoing development. There is a study by Forbes that says that 43% of Gen Z, they want flexibility to work. Now, once upon a time, this flexibility has been seen by organizations as rigidness. Again, when I joined the workforce in 2015, there was a lot of emphasis on dress code. Even today, there is emphasis on dress code, but
Hmm.
there is some flexibility. Like there is Friday business casuals, there is business casuals throughout 5 days in many of the organizations. And also, they emphasize that okay, when there is an important meeting, client meeting, then you come in formals. Otherwise, you can just uh, I mean, don't wear anything that you want, but come in decent, comfortable clothing that you have. So the shift is that people want flexibility, people want meaningful experiences, people want continuous improvement and growth. And we as learning leaders, we as organizations, we should start adapting to those new ways of doing things and working at them rather than looking at them as rigid behaviors by the people.
Hmm. So, how is this learning culture built?
Okay. Now, if you ask me, how do we build this learning culture in any of these companies? There is no right or there is no wrong answer, but it depends on the stage at which an organization is.
Yeah.
If the organization is a small organization, then it can be built within few months, or there is a different way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
For conglomerates and for huge multinationals, there is again a different way of building these things.
Yes.
However, some of the steps that we can look at is it one thing, it all starts with building a growth mindset in people.
Hmm.
When I say growth mindset, there are certain questions that we all have to answer. Are teammates challenging each other to take risks every day? Are they challenging themselves to do something differently? Are the managers modeling learning behaviors in the organization? Are people embracing challenges? Are they looking challenges as challenges, or are they looking them as things that will hinder their growth? That is one. One is building that growth mindset and environment. And number two is doing a detailed training needs analysis or the learning needs analysis. In L&D, this is one of the most important things. I always look at this like being a doctor. It also applies to any other profession. But whenever someone comes to us as learning people, they come with a certain training in their mind.
Hmm.
But as learning developers, as learning experience developers or training consultants, it's not our duty to deliver the training that they are asking for, but rather we have to investigate, find out what exactly is needed. Again, there is a study by HBR which says that 83% of the times wrong trainings are conducted,
Hmm.
not the right trainings. Now, a detailed training need analysis, interacting with all the stakeholders and understanding what they want to learn, that helps because this again goes back to the adult learning principles, wherein we say that learning is not just for adults, especially for adults, learning is not something that we can do using carrot and stick mechanisms.
Hmm.
Rather, it should come from inside them. They need to have something to achieve in order for them to learn something. So the second step is doing a detailed training needs analysis, wherein we'll understand what exactly is needed, what kind of training is needed, what modality of training is required. Sometimes there may be a need for an e-learning. Sometimes there may be a need for an instructor-led training.
Hmm.
Sometimes we may have to facilitate a coaching session. Sometimes we need to have a gamified version of training. Sometimes we need a simulation. Today we are not spoiled by choice, but we have different choices that
Hmm.
we can use. This is the second step. So the first step is building that growth mindset. Second step is speaking to our employees, understanding what they want, and having that detailed training needs analysis. Now, the third best thing that we as learning people can do is embedding learning in in everyday activities. Now, even when I was sharing my experience of building an analytical dashboard reporting tool, that is not a training per se I have attended because I have to do a check in the box activity. Rather, I have attended that training because there was a genuine need. It was integrated in my everyday as an employee, life as an employee. I was exploring that tool. I was taking out an hour a day and exploring that tool just to ensure that if it works, it's a good thing. So I was exploring that tool in order to understand whether it's working, how should I take this to the next level, how can I build this analytics, how can I get better reporting. So like this, embedding them in day-to-day activities. It can be one-on-one connects with the supervisors, it can be the staff meetings. In my one of the teams that I work, we have last 5 to 7 minutes reserved exclusively to learn something. Someone would come and they say, okay, this is what we have to do. Because see, today we work with different clients. Different people work with different clients, and different clients have different requirements. Depending on requirements, it is important to customize. And whenever there is customization, there is a need for learning every day. And this also brings us to the importance of building a learning ecosystem. Building a learning ecosystem. Now, what is this learning ecosystem? It is a situation or an environment where employees can learn without the fear of failure. Now, when I was building the dashboard, maybe I would have failed. If I fail, what will happen? Will I lose my job? No, if I am going to lose my job, nobody will ever try anything new.
Yeah.
So we need to ensure that we create that learning systems. Is there an LMS in place? Is the organization investing in purchasing new e-learning tools? Are they investing in new innovative learning technologies? All these things are to be taken into consideration. And finally, one last important thing is keeping up with the latest learning trends. Today we have something called as mobile learning, where I can go and learn on the go in my mobile phone. There is something called as blended learning, which is a mix of online and offline learning. There is self-directed learning, where employees come up and say that, okay, we want to learn this. You give them the framework, the ecosystem, they learn. Gamified learning, simulations. It's important to use all these things. So, just to summarize everything, how do we build a learning culture? One, we have to start developing a growth mindset and a growth environment.
Yeah.
Two, we need to do a detailed DNA, training and analysis.
Yeah.
Three, we need to embed learning into everyday activities, say it one-on-ones or staff meetings or, uh, you know, taking out some time from our daily meetings. And then also building that learning ecosystem, which is number four. And finally, keeping up with latest learning trends.
Yeah.
All these things help us build a very good learning culture in an organization.
Yeah. So you explained to us all these 4, 5 points, and on paper, everything looks good. But how difficult, how realistic is it to put this into practice, and how are organizations doing it that this becomes a culture inside the organization?
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Everything looks very good, flowery on the paper. Now, how are organizations doing this? Again, when any, not just an organization, but even a small unit in an organization, when they try to do these things, there are certain challenges initially to start with that they face.
Yeah.
There will be resistance. There will be time constraints for people. And one of the big challenges that I look at is demonstrating the return on investment on the training. Because even whenever I meet my friends or anyone, they say that, okay, we are doing this mandatory training. We are just skipping all those videos. Okay, we are just getting done with them. Okay, fatafat we'll do and we'll close it.
Yeah.
But no, demonstrating that return on investment, it is our duty as learning specialists to demonstrate how it is useful. Now, how do we demonstrate that return on investment?
Hmm.
You don't believe me, today as you are working, 50% of your day goes in learning, and the rest of the 50% is where you are delivering results.
Hmm.
50% goes to learning. I mean to say that is, say I have some query, I'll reach out to my colleague. It is
Hmm.
peer-to-peer learning.
Yeah.
On the job learning is what is becoming a trend now.
Yeah.
And even when I'm doing that, that's a learning experience. Now, how can we actually make this work, as you asked? It is in the hands of line managers and supervisors of the organization. If I'm handling a team of 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, I should take out that 1 hour of time every week, not even every day, every week, 1 hour. Have a meeting wherein you ask your team members, what did you learn in this week while you are working? Tell me 3 things, that's it. No slides, no presentations. Simply narrate 3 things that you have learned in this week. You don't believe me, that's where the culture of learning starts.
Hmm.
It should be pushed from the top, of course, but it should be supported from the bottom.
Yes.
That's where the handshake happens and this learning culture can be built.
So we see in a lot of organizations, learning is basically a box that needs to be ticked. People will go for a training whether they are interested or not. That room needs to get filled. The trainer will come and give a presentation, and in the end everybody gets a certification saying, you have done this training, now you can go to the next level.
Hmm.
Also, finally, these initiations or initiatives by the company, at some point, they come at a cost. Finally, the managers or the people at the top will say, okay, I have spent X amount on all this. What is
Hmm.
the ROI? What is the return? How have things changed in my company? What is coming to me extra compared to what was coming to me before? How are these metrics, these matrices measured? Is this actually measurable?
This can be measured. Okay. As I said, one of the ways of measuring it is the reaction. The reaction, the weekly meeting, 1 hour meeting that I was speaking about is one is reaction. We can also measure this by checking the enrollment percentage in the learning programs that I'm running.
Hmm.
We can also measure this by checking the completion rates in the programs that I am running.
Hmm.
I can also check this now, enrollment completion. The last one is the application rates. We need to somewhere shift that strategy from learning just to learn to learning to implement.
Hmm.
If I am learning something today, I have to implement that within the next 6 months.
Yes.
Now, that is where exact ROI can be measured. If I am learning about customer service today, I must be able to implement it. If I am learning about building dashboards today, I must be able to implement it within next 6 months. If I am learning about sales, I must be able to increase the sales margin in the next 6 months. Again, here as well, the line managers, the managers of the organization, they act as a backbone, giving all these data insights to the people at the top and making sure that the organization runs like a well-oiled machine. These are some of the things that can be done to ensure it's actually being measured.
Now, how can we coach managers and leaders to achieve a thriving learning culture in an organization? Are there any actionable steps? Is there a formula that you do this, you start with this, do this, and then do this? And if there is something like that, please explain it to us.
Yes. This may sound a bit funny, but still, we need to coach managers to become coaches. We need to coach managers to become better coaches. And in fact, that's one of the niche that I am working on, which is building coaching mindsets in individuals, managers, and leaders. Now, if you ask me, how can we build that? I have this framework called as LEAD, LEAD. What is this? Every manager, when they are building this culture of learning in their teams, one, they have to listen. L for listen. Listen to their actual problems and look at if there are any trainings or any support, on the job training, off the job training, blended training, offline training, online training, what kind of training or support that can be provided. Listen to that first. That's again connected to the training needs analysis. Listen appropriately. Number two, E in lead, empathize. Empathize. Even a senior manager can request for a basic training. That's absolutely fine. Don't make fun of people when they're asking something that they don't know. Again, this again goes back to building psychological safety that we are speaking about. Nobody should feel offended or nobody should feel shy to ask for something and take it. That is E, empathize with people. A, ask right questions. Again, this goes back to creating or delivering the right kind of training in the right modality. If I am not asking enough questions, some stakeholder comes to me and asks me, okay, deliver this training. I am just delivering that blindly. That's not going to work. Okay, that may work. But most of the times, that's not going to work. You have to reconfirm even if it's going to work. Reconfirm, revalidate. And once you decide or once you have a solid evidence and proof that this is going to work, that is where you go for it. And that's asking right questions. Yes, ask is very powerful. Thank you, Payal, for putting that. Asking is the most important thing. And finally, LEAD in lead, develop. How do you develop? As a leader, as a manager, you coach people to take responsibilities. You coach people to learn things. You coach people to take track of, to make it track of what they are learning, keep a track of what they are learning. You coach people by giving them constructive feedback. Give feedback in such a way that they want to come back to you once again. Build that rapport and give feedback. So LEAD, listen, empathize, ask right questions, and D for develop by giving the right feedback and the constructive feedback. So this is how we will enable managers to take actions, in turn go back to their subordinates or their peers and build that learning culture from bottom up while we are building it from top to bottom.
LEAD. Great acronym it is, and you've explained it very, very well. So
Thank you.
now let's say I have implemented this, or I am part of a company, I am part of the leadership. When can we say that the culture of an organization is being built? that culture of learning is being built. Let's say you walk into a company, or you are called, and they call Santosh, please come and check our system, see our learning and developing methods, tell us whether we have a culture. If not, how do we improve it? Are there any matrices, any indicators that we can follow?
Sure. There are multiple indicators, but three to four of them to look at is one, as I have been emphasizing a lot, manager involvement in developing people. Managers' involvement in developing people is the most important criteria to start with. How many of your managers are pushing people, more and more people for training? Number two, are there any employee-led initiatives in the organization? There are support groups in some organizations where there is no one accountable for it, but everyone goes there and participate. Center of excellences led by employees.
Hmm.
Are there regular participations in leadership events that are happening? Are people connected to what's happening in the organization? And finally, is there any demand for learning? If I'm rolling out a program,
Hmm.
do I have to run behind people to enroll? Or people are running behind me? Where is my next training?
Yes.
So these are some of the things that we have to look at
Yeah.
when we want to assess at the high level, looking at an organization, whether they support learning or not.
Hmm. So, we always hear about this top down approach. What is the most important thing in building a culture of learning? Does it need to come down from the top? Or you said, no, there is also the bottom up where the people are actually interested. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. It should be both ways. However, it should be initially pushed from the top. The leadership in the organization should first start believing that these are the kinds of trainings that I want my workforce to be trained on.
Yes.
Like there was a time in 2017-18 when most of the organizations were moving towards agile way of working. And that
Yes.
was the right move
Yes.
because their leadership believed it and they moved it to the top down. And again, come 2020, 2022 till date, hybrid is the new buzzword.
Yeah.
And that's the right direction to go
Hmm.
about. Now, while that is the top-down approach, even the bottom-up should be there. There should be support from all the employees in the organization, and this can be built again with the managers, with the help of the frontline managers who are supporting people. All these managers, they act as the backbone for the organization. They help organizations do this. So, in a nutshell, it should be a top-down and also a bottom-up approach.
Hmm.
But 60% it is top down, 40% should be bottom up.
Hmm. Share with us a few, you know, probably maybe even funny or shocking incidents if you have had in your career, probably in the places where you have worked, or something which you have heard from outside regarding, this L&D culture and how things are going. And I want you to specially emphasize upon whether these
Mm.
things are more prevalent in MNCs, companies which have got foreign affiliations or multinational corporations, compared to probably government organizations or, smaller units.
Hmm. I'd not like to say that funny, but still some things that made me think, okay, were mobile learning, e-learning, or using analytics in training. Most of these things are still being used by MNCs. Most of these MNCs only have an LMS. Most of these MNCs only have any reporting tool. Otherwise, most of the other organizations, they are using Excel sheets and all these things. I'm not saying that's not the right approach, but having a technical tool and adapting to that tool will definitely help speed up the execution of the training programs compared to traditional way of doing things. This is
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
This is one. And number two, the other thing that I saw was okay. There is again, as I said, as I've been telling, nearly most of these requests that come, they are not appropriate. There is one funny incident that actually happened. I heard from one of the colleagues in one of the certification programs that I have attended that normally when these people come, whatever is not working, irrespective of whether there is no technical expertise or there is no soft skills expertise or anything, people come and say, okay, you do communication skills training to my team. Whereas the actual problem is not that. Now, if to give you a quick stat, 85% of future jobs that would exist in 2030, they are still not discovered today. And still, we want to go ahead and do basic trainings. It is something we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
What I am doing today, I may not do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like right now, I am doing a course on LMS that may become redundant. I
Hmm.
was working with one of my previous organizations where we had a training session using metaverse.
Hmm.
We had that VR room where we went there and we did a session as an offsite setting. So all these things, in a nutshell, it's important to adapt to these things quickly. And again, this goes back to the quote that we have started with.
Hmm.
Don't go for a communication skill training every time that you want a training. There are other types of training. Come with a problem,
Hmm.
ask for solution. Come with an open mind, go with an open-ended question rather than a closed-ended question. Of course, even if someone comes to us as learning consultants, we'll ask them the open-ended questions, but still it's important, it's more convenient if you come to us with an open-ended question and a problem.
So at this point, what I will do is, I see Brenda is here, and she's been, she spent almost 4 decades in large MNC companies in India, has worked with real big shot leaders. Let's ask her experience about how the companies in which she worked, was there this culture of learning and development and training? How did the managers do it? How did the people, do go and attend the training? Was it just ticking a box, or going and enjoying and improving ourselves? Tell us a little bit about your experience, Brenda.
Yeah, I have just come from one AI class, reached home, and now you're asking me this question. Yeah, I have been actually in three different types of companies. 32 years in HUL and MNC. Another 4 5 years in Johnson and Johnson and MNC. Uh, Tata's an Indian company, and Mokan, a privately owned Indian company. And I've seen practically every day, of course, since this has evolved over 42 years, learning and development was becoming more and more important everywhere. But where we were at the stage at most companies was, we provide you, we give you opportunities, but but developing and learning is your responsibility. Okay. So you have to take the responsibility. The company will give you resources. Sometimes it may nominate you. Mostly you may nominate yourself. And there will also be an LMS where you have to finish certain courses.
Yeah.
Now, what was quite a sort of a thing to navigate was, if you did not finish that course, you could not go to something higher or whatever. So
Yes.
there was a deadline, and to some extent, there was I would say, a factor of being mandatory, particularly things like the code of principles. You cannot work in the company; you will not get the salary when you join. if within the first week you've not done your COBP
Yeah.
or your post training.
Yeah.
So if you want your salary, you better do it.
Yeah.
Those are very, very like, security or say some medical things or, those are mandatory. But
Yeah.
otherwise, in which area you want to develop, you have a choice. What should I say? A menu of services,
Hmm.
courses which are available,
Yeah.
and you get your boss's agreement. He sees that you have a inclination or a potential in this area, and with his permission, you nominate yourself, or HR sees that you have a. Yeah. But I see this changing because first of all, with AI, you don't need courses, right?
Yeah.
You can self-learn most things.
Yeah.
So all services will be hugely affected. Maybe we are exaggerating it, but in next 2-3 years, I think they will. The services sector, finance, L&D, HR, advertising, marketing will be the first services. Also,
Yeah.
if you remember that people are not going to have full-time and lifelong jobs,
Yes.
why will the company spend money on you when you're not going to be there more than 2 or 3 years?
Yes.
Even the recruitment will be very skewed. The recruitment as well as the training will be very skewed to those few who are seen as maybe the C-suite, potential.
Yes.
This is what I see.
Yeah. Very, very important point. Why will the company want to spend money on you knowing that you'll probably leave them and jump into a different company, probably do a different job or a competitor, unless they know in their minds and their heads, and there is some sort of a contract where they know that you are going to rise up to the ranks where you will be one of the leaders of the company. Let me bring in Harish Mehta, sir. He has been a leadership coach and business coach. He was also in a PSU company. That was many, many, many years ago. Tell us your experience. How does L&D work? How do organizations spend, especially from the government side? Or we need strong people like you, people who learn and then go and coach and then establish this culture. Tell us a little bit.
Deepak, 24 years back when I left the bank, so much has changed. But one thing has remained the same: attitude towards learning. When people are sent, whether it's banks or institutions or in the private sector today, the attitude is not towards learning. I wish that could be created as a culture. बहुत दिन हो गए इनको सैर सपाटा नहीं कराया, इनको घुमाने भेजा. Be it in India or be it outside India.
Yeah.
I see some friends of mine in the insurance business at senior vice president levels having fun in Oktoberfest over beer. Now, each has been sent with a purpose to enjoy and just have one session. So, a culture of learning will only come when the L&D head, I mean it, and I spoke to CHROs, learn more themselves. And every single day they need to learn. And I admire Santosh. I'm sure he's working hard on that. Unless you practice, you cannot develop your people. Unless you practice it yourself, you cannot develop people. And practicing is hard. I can see that today. I need to practice for my routine. It's hard. Laziness comes in and the habit formation takes a while.
Yes.
So learning is all about creating those beautiful habits.
Yes.
5 a.m. is easy to say and very difficult to do.
Right.
The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
Yes.
He may have sold 2 billion copies. I'm sure he does not have more than 200 people.
Yeah.
So that's the irony.
Yes.
And we are proud to shake glasses at CHROs and L&Ds, celebrating it.
Yeah.
But actually, what goes down, I wish them all the luck. I'm happy to coach and teach, provided they can see the big picture in themselves.
Yes.
If they want to become good to great in this life
Yes.
and leave something for people to remember them 200 years,
Yes.
you got to give it now.
Yeah.
And that now is every single day is passing.
Yeah.
Santosh, I wish you the very best.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you,
Harish.
Harish sir. Thank you for
It is
sharing your
easy to
thoughts.
speak about the word mindset,
Yes.
but the culture of creating a new mindset
Yeah.
takes a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the audience would like to chip in?
I'd like to just share a couple of cents on what Brenda and what Harish sir spoke about.
Go ahead, Santosh.
I think three things which are most important. One is when you speak about people just coming into a company and then going switching, okay, say maybe see I myself switch jobs, okay, but the point is I think it's one of the things in learning and development that we have to do is creating fixed career pathways for people. If you are able to achieve a certain competency level,
Yes.
you should be promoted.
Correct.
And when you are able to progress, you will stay back. Otherwise, you will move to some other place where you will be able to progress.
Correct.
That is one.
Yes.
And number two, it's also important to include these learning experiences in performance management.
Hmm.
Right now, as you're saying, it has been included as a check in the box activity in most of the companies. But one thing to be done is, I remember one of the companies that I was working for, 90% of your KPI is what you do on a daily basis, and 10% is where you have the freedom to experiment.
Hmm.
That's an add-on goal that you can add to your existing goal. Try something new. Try something
Santosh,
new.
just a minute here.
Sure.
The day you join, write your personal development plan for the next 5 years
Yes.
and give it to the organization. This is what I want.
Wonderful.
And you give me what you want from me in these 5 years.
Hmm.
So, as coaches, it is very important. You decide when you join where you want to be 5 years from now. It's
Absolutely.
your decision and their choice. Because I joined directly as a leader at the age of 18, 19. I did not have to go through the clerical supervisory role. So they asked me, I said, I want to be the manager of the branch in the next 2 years. And I forced them to make me one. Give me a management development program. Give me the choice to visit head office for 9 months, regional office for 9 months, and lead a branch when I was only 25. I worked hard to become who I am today. But how many people have that in them is important. It's a choice, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I know Brenda is listening to me. Not often leaders give this choice to the people who they recruit.
Yes.
This question is not asked in the interview. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? If that clarity is visible, I am sure we have got some great people shaping up in the next 20, 30, 40 years. That's my say.
Absolutely. That should be, thank you, Harish sir, for adding that. That clarity should be there. And that's why I'm saying it should be made as a policy. In the policy making level itself, if it's added 10% for innovation and this personal development plan that you are speaking about, even that's going to help. It will actually help both the organization and the candidate to match their expectations and move faster, in fact. That's the second thing. And the third thing I was speaking about, that you were speaking about learning for L&D professionals. It's all about leading by example. If as a learning and development professional, I am asking everyone to take my courses, take my trainings. What am I learning? What is the credibility with which I am standing before you? What do I know about the latest advancements in the training industry? Am I applying on you so that you can become a better employee and contribute to drive more results? All these things are also important.
And Santosh, behavior does not lie. Your behavior shows up before you open your mouth. And that defines you. And the conversations that you pick up, whether you are in HR meet or a conclave or a meetup, what are we discussing? Is it gossip or is it learning? Because most people refuse to share what they know because they feel someone will pick up my job.
But great people don't refuse to share what they know. They'd like
How
to give
many
it.
people become great, Santosh, is my question.
That's why they don't become great.
And each one of us has greatness within us. Give it shape, give it energy, give it belief, give it the encouragement. And I'm happy to share. We are proud to be members of the PSAI, where we share and care for people
Yes.
with our great
Yes.
thoughts.
Yes.
And we are in for some great surprises when Brigadier and the rest of the team who have gone there share what they learned those 4, 5, 6 days.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. So we have Rajneesh also here who is joining in. Rajneesh, can you share some experiences of yours, especially when you were in the corporate space, as far as this culture of learning and development is concerned?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Deepak sir, for giving me this opportunity to express myself. Actually, Santosh, a lot of little chunks of wisdom I've picked up from you today, I must say. I will go back to my the working time, Deepak sir. When I used to work for an employer 12 years back, and we used to have a lot of these training sessions that time. So a typical mindset of an employee, which I remember distinctly talking to my colleagues also, that okay, this is a 3-day program. What happens after the 4th day? The entire learning in that concentrated 3-day period. How do we take it ahead?
Yeah.
That was often a question which a lot of our colleagues used to talk about. And let's accept the fact this is a reality. It gradually used to taper it down. That the learnings used to remain on a notepad. The implementation was always an issue. And as Harish sir very rightly said, unless it doesn't become a habit, and a habit can only happen when it is monitored continuously. If you don't measure it, you don't realize the importance of it. So I will ask you this question particularly, Santosh, is how do we ensure as trainers, that it is carried forward not just for those 3 days, but what special efforts do you take, in terms of ensuring that it is continued properly? It's a habit case, absolutely a habit case, which Harish sir very rightly said.
Sure. Thank you, Rajneesh, for that question.
Yeah.
I'd like to say the topic itself that we are speaking today, culture of learning in organization, creating a culture. Now, what is this culture? A habit over a period of time becomes culture. And how do we build it in the trainings? One is, as adult learners, they want to know what's in it for me. I have to address that. What's in it for me if I'm continuously learning?
Yeah.
What's in it for me if I'm continuously building competencies?
Yeah.
what's in it for me if I'm continuously growing? Now, as I said, if we have that clear career progression, or as Harish sir said, if we design that personal development plan for next 5 years and say, after 1 year, you have to learn these skills, acquire this knowledge. After 2 years, learn these skills, acquire some more knowledge. Now I am separating knowledge and skills. And before these knowledge and skills comes attitude. We call that KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. First comes the attitude, that is actually assessed even during someone enters into an organization. And then we have to give them that clear distinction between knowledge and skills, and of course provide opportunities for them to apply that knowledge in the form of skills.
Absolutely.
So when they do that, and when they know what's in it for me, and when they distinguish between knowledge and skills, and when they continuously apply anything, that becomes a habit, and it eventually becomes a culture. This is how I look at it.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderfully well encapsulated. All I can say is habits compound. Whatever you do regularly over a period of time, they compound. That's why it's called compounding the eighth wonder. I will always mention that. And over to you, Payal.
Deepak, good habits and bad habits, remember.
Both of them compound. Yeah, of course. Yes.
Bad habits compound faster than good habits.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Over to you, Payal, for
I did a
official
program
closing statements. Yes.
creating a culture of positivity in the workplace.
Yes, positivity. Wonderful.
I created a program for a lot of people way back in 2012, 13, 14. How to create a culture of positivity in the workplace.
Wonderful.
Namaste, everyone. Santosh, before we close, what is the one message would you like to give to the audiences today?
One message that I'd like to give is, I'd like to end with a quote by Ralph Emerson, which says, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." So let's develop the hunger for learning. Let's develop the hunger for growth, and let's ask what we want and take it. And that's how we build a culture of learning in organization.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, beautiful audiences, for joining us on a Sunday afternoon. As Deepak sir says, now it's time to go for lunch with our family. Deepak sir, over to you for the close.
Yes. And stay hungry. Why? Because next Sunday, same time, same place, you will be joining us on the 217th episode, non-stop episode of the Sunday Bloom Talk Show. See you there. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. God bless us all.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Santosh.
Bye.